the Disney Channel.
This is the world of computer-generated imagery. One motion picture is responsible for making most of us aware that a lot of things we've been seeing on television hadn't come from the pencil of any artist or been photographed on any set. Tron is a landmark, a filmmaking risk in the Disney tradition. In 1939, Walt gambled that the world would empathize with characters who had no life outside an animation cell. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the first full-length animated movie, was a success. Tron was the same kind of gamble.
You shouldn't have come back, Flynn.
Hey, it's the big master control program everybody's been talking about.
Sit right there. Make yourself comfortable. Remember the time we used to spend playing chess together? That isn't going to do you any good, Flynn. I'm afraid. Stop. Please. You realize I can't allow this.
Now, how are you going to run the universe if you can't even answer a few unsolvable problems? Huh? Come on, big fella. Let's see what you got.
I'd like to go against you and see what you're made of.
You know, you don't look a thing like your pictures.
I'm warning you. You're entering a big error, Flynn. I'm going to have to put you on the game grid.
Games? You want games? I'll give you games.
In 1982, the studio had faith that a new generation of Disney moviegoers would believe that a man could be digitized, laserized, and vaporized into the very core of a computer. They did believe, and Tron made more movie history for Disney. Tron was the first motion picture to incorporate computer-generated animation and backgrounds with live actors. Hello. I'm William Katz, and I'll be your guide through the sometimes disorienting universe of the computer. We'll visit the strange and wonderful worlds that are being created by the technical wizardry of the computer animator. I'd like to introduce you to my pal here. This is the IMI 500, a very specialized computer designed for use by the computer animator or industrial designer. You'll need a program, and each computer artist has his very own, and each is guarded under the trade secret laws of the United States. The program is a set of instructions written in numerical code so that the computer can understand it. Oh, it prints it out in English so we can read it. The computer uses what is called a binary code. That is, only 2 numbers to represent all the rest. Instead of having the computer sort out 10 numbers, it only has to deal with 2. Huge figures like 31,845 are reduced in computer code to this. The place where the 1 or 0 appears assigns a power, or base. The ability to translate the code is already built into the memory banks of the computer, and because there are only 2 numbers to deal with, the computer can figure it out at amazing speeds. Computer pictures are made up of little memory locations which appear on the screen as units called pixels. The pixel is the smallest working unit in a computerized picture. Each one can be assigned a color or texture or even a light source. It's possible to achieve such an unbelievable perfection, a kind of heightened reality in computer art, because each pixel can be manipulated individually. The more pixels per line, the clearer the image. The screen on which most computer art is formed is known as a raster. Hence, it's called raster animation. Your television set is a raster. The picture you're watching is made up of thousands of points of light, called dots. The dots make up scan lines, just as pixels make up the raster lines of a computer picture. The simplest form of computer animation is vector animation, which is made up of a series of intersecting lines rather than pixels. The earliest form of computer-generated graphics were made this way. The title sequence from The Black Hole is a perfect example of vector animation. These simple lines render a perfect mathematical model of a phenomenon in space, a black hole. Beyond Tron executive producer Ron Miziker.
We can combine this movement then with the pull-out so that it can actually take any one of these positions. As it pulls out, it can go
right.
off at an angle like
That's
this
right.
as well?
And all we have to do is tell it to remember it at this stage of the game as to where you wanted it. We're in frame 50, and you get it in the orientation that you want it to be in frame 50.
Kenneth Dozier is a computer animation technical director and president of IMI Computer Corporation of Westlake Village, California. Working from the director's storyboards and Miziker's instructions, Dozier computes a concept into magical movements.
I think the exciting thing for me is seeing the computer become more human-oriented, more friendly. The artist can now work on the machine in terms and in ways that the artist is comfortable with, not in ways that the computer requires.
In the hands of computer artist and animator Chris Wedge of Magi, this machine can turn out pictures like these commissioned by Atari. Meet the Cray XMP. There are 6,700 miles of wire running through this beast. It is constantly cooled by 4,000 gallons of Freon coolant that runs through its veins. Its weight, 6 tons, and when it's thinking, it rumbles. This Cray XMP lives here at Digital Productions in Los Angeles, California. The Cray was not designed to generate computer images at all, but rather a machine built to run a corporation or a government or a military think tank. John Whitney Jr., president of Digital Productions, needed computing power to meet deadlines. He turned the Cray into a super picture maker.
We had several reasons for wanting to use a supercomputer. Primarily, we knew that if we were going to achieve our goal of simulating realistic-looking objects and environments, that we would have to be able to compute enormous scene complexity. And really, the only way to do that was with a high-performance computing engine which achieved a level of realism on the screen in a very short period of time per frame.
How animators arrived at concepts like Tron is like watching a condensed history of the art of animation. Leonardo da Vinci, Italian Renaissance painter and inventor, hinted at animation when he drew this man. The modern animation camera brings da Vinci's drawing to life. In 1955, for his television special, The Story of the Animated Drawing, Walt Disney demonstrated a curious machine called the Zoetrope, or Wheel of Life, early forerunner of the motion picture projector.
Now, the drawings were put on long strips. The strips were interchangeable. They were placed inside the drum, below the slits. Now, when viewed from the slits, the drawings definitely appeared to come to life when the drum was spun.
This was all before 1850. By the time Walt opened the doors of the Disney Studios in 1928, animation was on its way to being the most beloved of all the filmic arts. In a small garage in Burbank, California, Walt started work on what was to become the most endearing character in the animated world, Mickey Mouse. Computer animation had humble beginnings as well. John Whitney Sr., credited as the father of computer animation, began his experiments in a small studio in Pasadena, California. In the early 40s, separated only by a few miles, Walt and Whitney were united in spirit if separated by discipline. Then in the late 50s and early 60s, Lee Harrison, among others, began testing new ways of using the computer to animate.
I said you'll never animate a character with a computer.
Harrison tried in vain to peddle a little creature he had invented to advertisers and was only mildly successful in selling anyone on computer-aided animation. Then, in the mid-60s, when Disney was in production on Jungle Book, a new application of computer-generated animation made a breakthrough. Here, there was no margin for error. Scientists were developing ways of describing the three-dimensional world to the computer. These were the first ray tracing algorithms, mathematical models of the paths of light beams. At that point, they began using their high-tech tools to study nuclear radiation. One of those working on the problem was physicist Dr. Philip Middleman.
When Magi was first started in 1966, we were working primarily with the government doing what's called nuclear radiation transport.
In 1967, the Mathematics Application Group Incorporated turned their efforts to developing a program to create movies in the computer. They added color and other refinements to the software, and in 1972, Magi Synthavision introduced the process to the advertising world.
Hi, guess where I came from? A computer. Me and my hat. And everything else you're going to see in this film. Computer Visual presents a new way to create pictures. Synthavision.
Rather than use just polygons as the beginning point for their animation, Magi Synthavision uses combinations of other geometric shapes to describe objects and to bring texture and contours to the surface. The future writer-director of Tron, Steven Lisberger, was fascinated with the computer's ability to conquer perspective and lend a 3D feeling to images. The work from Magi sparked his imagination. Though he and his company continued to turn out conventional animation for station logos and short subjects, he always kept the Magi reel in mind. The animated character Tron was born in 1977 in this commercial Lisberger directed for a Boston radio station.
The music is the force. Rock 94 and a half. WCOZ.
Well, I think on that original reel from Magi, the thing that stuck with me the most, that I couldn't get out of my head for years, was the image of moving through a computer-generated environment. And when a year or two after that, video games started becoming popular, and I started talking to the computer people, it seemed that I now had the characters that I could put into that environment.
Is an illegal exit. You must return to the grid. Those demons are coming down.
Get them. Send out every game tank in the grid. Get them!
I should never have written all those tank programs.
Target's leaving protected field.
Lisberger can be found these days at Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, where he's preparing his next feature. His walls hold mementos of the Tron times, including these covers of Time and Newsweek that never quite made it to the newsstands.
One of the things that makes a computer unique and makes it enjoyable to work with is that you don't have to apologize to a computer to say, look, can we do this again? You know, I really hate to ask for this again because I know it's so much work, but can we try it again in blue? And the computer doesn't care about that, you know, and that's really nice.
Program Aloo. Request additional information for Sector 2. Prepare hangar for game simulation transport.
The Solar Sailor from Tron. To this day, it is considered one of the most intriguing images in the movie.
Activate hangar doors.
Richard Taylor, then a member of III Computer Graphics Company, worked on bringing the Solar Sailor to the screen. Today, Taylor directs commercials for N. Lee Lacey and Associates and his own company, Light Effects. Recently, he redesigned the Starship Enterprise for the Star Trek movies.
You know, Tron didn't look like any picture you'd ever seen before. Whether it succeeded dramatically or whatever else, as a designer, I was really thrilled to be able to use computer simulation in a form that replaced miniature photography, and also to stylize the characters in the electronic world with techniques that nobody had ever really gotten to try in a feature. And that was very satisfying.
Besides technical innovations, Tron was responsible for introducing entirely new characters to the movie-going public. BIT was a bit of computer animation magic performed by Judson Rosebush, chairman of the board of digital effects of New York City.
We had we had some discussions as to whether it was the bit or bit, and finally it was bit, and bit is like an electronic Tinkerbell.
Do you think we can merge with this memory, bit?
In the world of computers, bit represents the two different states the computer can take, the on and off, the yes and no.
The challenge of computer animation and classic animation is the same. The character has to have life and has to generate empathy if it's going to live in the minds of the audience. For companies like Digital Effects, their mainstay is the highly inventive work being done in television commercials. Advertisers seem to be a few steps ahead when it comes to using new art forms.
Exclusivo aerofólio traseiro. Maior segurança, melhor estabilidade.
Robert Abel and Associates have won countless awards for their unique abilities in making 30 and 60-second movies.
It began as genius and grew to be legend, and has become at long last the most advanced production car on the planet.
You've never seen anything like this before.
A new Chevrolet Corvette like never before.
Never before.
Play to win.
This commercial is almost totally computer generated. It won awards and sold lots of 7-Up along the way. It also pays homage to another kind of computer graphic, the video game.
7-Up, cool as your test. 7-Up, the difference is clear.
Able Studios contributed to Tron and is experimenting with their own kind of computer movie making. The commercial television networks are not far behind the advertisers in their use of computer-generated animation. Companies like Cranston Surrey introduce you to the news. Tout you on their movies, or draw you into their games. Journeys to the stars, a favorite subject of filmmakers, and the computer is uniquely qualified to take us there. These are scenes from the first 3D animated feature from the Atlantic Releasing Corporation called Star Chaser, The Adventures of Orin.
Ow! I told you it wouldn't work!
What's happening?
Just a little welcoming fire. Hang on.
Star Chaser is being produced by Westar with a computer-aided technique. Bill Croyer is an animation choreographer who designed, among other things, the cycle chase in Tron. The paths of action that the computer-drawn starships will take are first calculated from the top and the side angles. Those calculations are then input into the lower power microcomputers. Computer-controlled plotters then outline each trip through space from pre-programmed hull designs which are saved on disks. The computer fills in all the moves of the ship, doing what animators call the in-betweening. The computer drawings are then videotaped one by one to test the fluidity of the action. The tedium of hand-drawing these ships thousands of times over has been eliminated. A movie that would normally take 4 years to make will take a little more than 2. Today's video artist has any number of easily mastered yet highly sophisticated tools to work with. An American-based company called Robert Bosch Incorporated has a system which can achieve a kind of animation that you will recognize as familiar in some of your favorite TV shows. Here at Disney Studios, some interesting experimentation is taking place with computer animation. After setting the trend with Tron, animators turned their efforts to a test based on a classic book by author Maurice Sendak called Where the Wild Things Are. The object was to make the backgrounds with the computer and incorporate classic, hand-drawn Disney character animation with those backgrounds. In this way, squash and stretch, the elements of elasticity that make Disney character animation stand out from all the rest, wouldn't be lost.
What they can't do these days.
In hand-drawn animation, the next step after the storyboard has been completed is the pencil test, a rough pencil drawing to show the action. In computer animation, that step still occurs. It's called the vector test. This is the vector test for Where the Wild Things Are, which Magi Synthavision did for Disney Studios. Once the vector test is approved, the real work begins. Each piece of vector animation must be modeled and shaped. In this case, the characters were painted by computer. The whole process is like stretching a layer of skin over a wire mesh frame. Now, let's take a look at the test for Maurice Sendak's Where the Wild Things Are, which was directed by John Lasseter. Perhaps the most sophisticated research being done in the field is going on here, in San Rafael, California, at a company called Lucasfilm. It shouldn't surprise you that the man who gave you the Star Wars trilogy joins Disney at the forefront of finding new and more amazing ways to entertain you. While the Disney Imagineers are hard at work researching ways to put Disney magic on the screen with computers, Lucasfilm is busy creating new ways of seeing things. They're using the computer to draw scenes that combine make-believe with a kind of heightened reality. A perfection that boggles the mind. Alvy Ray Smith heads up the computer graphics research for Lucasfilm. We asked him when we could expect a feature-length computer-animated cartoon.
Full-blown character animation, three-dimensional motion blur, such as Andre and Wally-B, is probably not cost-effective yet because the machines are still a little bit too slow. But some compromise between standard two-dimensional conventional animation and full-blown three-dimensional animation is probably conceivable in the next couple of years.
The Lucasfilm team, including Smith, Ed Catmull, Bill Reeves, Rob Cook, and Lauren Carpenter, worked for almost a year to overcome the basic problem of bringing this kind of computer imagery to a movie screen. Former Disney animator John Lasseter was hired as a consultant. It was his job to supervise the combination of character animation with the backgrounds, experience he'd gained while directing the Wild Things test. There was to be a difference, though. The little characters of Andre and Wally B were to be completely computer-generated, right down to the tread on Andre's sneakers and the blur of Wally's wings.
When I was asked to come up to Lucasfilm and animate a character that was completely computer-generated, my fears were that it was going to be too stiff. You know, because in computers, the easiest thing to do is very geometric shapes. And cartoon characters are not made of geometric shapes generally, and so I was afraid of not being able to do squash and stretch, which is very important to an animator.
Because the characters are completely computer-generated, they look more complete here in the vector test. But as engaging as it is, the finished product is, well, something from the 21st century. Imagine yourself in the 21st century. You're in the theater, and you're about to see a movie. A movie made of sets that never existed, and landscapes that never grew. You'll listen to dialogue delivered by actors who never drew a breath of air, and hear them talk in words that are turned out by a program that can synthesize the human voice. I'm William Catt, and I hope you've enjoyed your trip beyond Tron.